Going on a trip in my favorite rocket ship. Let's see if we go live on YouTube. We're live. There we go.
Yeah, Facebook. There we go. I'm logging on.
Never.
We're going to get nice and
Snug. All right.
And we're live. Welcome to the Burden Society podcast. If you can see us all, we're in a kind of tight. I
Really tight.
feel like we're tight. He's not bigger than Taylor.
You mean that wise?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Taylor,
Yeah, you got
I
something.
don't know. He's definitely bigger than
Do you work out?
Uh,
Do you do any? Oh, then you fit in. This used to be a fitness podcast.
Yeah.
So we could have had you on then.
Oh, I fit right in, man. Yeah.
So
that would just fitness all this pizza. And
yeah. So we kind of rebranded the podcast to the Burden Society, where it's more about manhood, carrying the burdens of the ones we love. I don't know the mission statement. I made it up and I forgot about it. Taylor, he knows it more than I do.
A community of like-minded individuals looking to get better every day, become assets in our communities, and there's something on us. Another part of it.
Carrying the burdens of the ones we love.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Carrying the burden.
How's it? Does that sound good? Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So this is Rick Stevenson. We're going to get into more of who he is later. I'm going to pop my drink open. Get an energy drink.
Ghost, please sponsor us. We drink your drinks.
He's got the Stanley Cup here. So
Got the Mississippi drink.
you were interested in just coming to watch us, and I was like, no, I want you to come on.
Yeah.
So we're going to just go through our normal stuff we do, and then we'll go into we'll introduce you, or I'll let you introduce yourself. I feel like that might be the easiest way, because who can introduce themselves like themselves?
Who can introduce somebody they don't know?
Yeah, I mean, Peyton and Ben are like, who is this guy? And I was,
I know who he is. He's Rick Stevenson. Yeah, Rick.
that's his, yeah, he's Rick.
Says it right here.
Bro, this is Rick Stevenson. So,
Famous
what-
for his.
Hey, YouTube and Facebook.
yeah, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Comment if you hear us and if you're watching, where you're from,
or whatever.
we want to know. I don't know if y'all hear that trumpet in the background. So you've watched 10 of our podcasts
Oh, please, yeah.
in the past week. So he may be our number one fan at the moment. I don't see there's not many podcasts you can just binge like that and then be on the podcast within a week.
I watched your shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. On your EDCs and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we're still waiting on Paige.
Still missing somebody. Oh, wait. That EDC.
You still haven't done
That was part of a pod. No, mine's.
Yes.
If I'd say, whose EDC do you like more? And mine's not even out there.
Yeah, you never send his short. Oh, well. His EDC is a police uniform now.
Yeah. I made one and then deleted it because it wasn't good and never made another one. Probably just didn't like how.
To perfection.
Oh, because I was missing something.
I was like, hey, you're in the deer stand. Just take out what's in your pockets. And we'll just say this is your hunting EDC, even if it's like your phone and your rifle.
My rifle's not in my pocket.
Yeah, well, you have it on you. It would have been a good video, good short. So, fitness check-in. You do work out, okay. What do you usually do, like calisthenics?
Oh, man, you just name it and I do it all, man.
Squat,
Mess.
back squat.
He's got a 500-pound squat.
Yeah. Man, no, I got a little small ranch I have to keep up, so.
Hey. That's what, so I'm going to go into how we founded the Burden Society, and it would come off of a controversial video I did, which is
that was controversial.
People got offended because I was right, but I took it down. But it was basically saying that people needed to do fitness, or it would potentially cost their lives being lazy.
I wonder who got it.
And there's people in there like, my husband works 12 hours a day. It was all women that were offended. And I was like, literally every woman on there was like, my husband. I'm like, if your husband's out there lifting transmissions above their head all day, they're probably fit enough. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the guys at home playing video games all day.
Hey.
Like Peyton, which he goes to the gym. He just ran a marathon. So how's your fitness, Peyton? After post-marathon, you did a run?
Yeah, I ran for the first time this week since the marathon. Well, I ran last week, but I don't count it. It was like a mile and a half. But Oh, I've just been doing push-ups.
Getting ready for academy?
Yeah, I did push-ups 3 days in a row now.
10 push-ups?
No.
At least?
I did 200 the other day. I only did 100 yesterday. Actually, I lied. I did not do push-ups today.
He meant to.
Yeah.
It was his goal.
But I decided to go to the gym too late and only ran.
Yeah, you've gone to the gym like at 6 for the past 2 nights.
When he doesn't have anything to do, well, he's got a job now. Well, that was the weekend. So when he didn't have anything to do, he just doesn't do anything.
But now
Till
I
it's
have
too
stuff to
late.
do.
So hopefully you'll be more productive now that you have less time.
Yeah.
I always feel like
Have a
that's
job.
what people do. Is they get like when I was in college, the lazy people are the ones that didn't have jobs, but they all got jobs. Somehow they got more stuff done. But Ben, I'm going to put this out there since you said it. 365 bench press.
Yeah, in the making. I got to do it.
We're putting it out. We're putting it on by when? By March?
By March. We're going to do early March. I said February, but February is going to be probably really hard to.
I was like, that's 2 months from now, dude. So he said this like a week ago, so I had to just say it so he would put it online. And I'm still losing weight. I'm giving myself to the end of the year, get sub 200.
50K in October.
You're almost there, aren't you?
October.
You were like 200.2 the other day?
Yeah, and then we went camping and I gained weight, I think, because I just ate. I got home that day and just ate half a tub of ice cream.
We went to bed so hot, and you didn't burn off all those calories?
It wasn't even hot. It just warm. We went camping this past week.
It's really warm.
Fitness check-in, that's all. That's it.
I'm trying to go camping.
That's it.
Tonight.
We all fit.
We all, I mean, it's tight, but we fit.
No,
We fit on the screen.
So we're talking about marathons. I remember hearing you talking about you wanted to walk a marathon.
who, me?
Yeah.
I walk a marathon every day. I walk anywhere, man. It's a stretch.
Well, you got half the steps.
Yeah.
So does that make it easier or harder?
Easier, really. Yeah, I think about,
Half the effort?
4 foot
It
straight.
seems like it would be, it's just twice the effort on one half of your body.
Yeah.
Does your right calf ever cramp or anything?
You had to look to see which leg it was.
Only when I sleep.
If you haven't figured
Say
it,
the crutches give him an unfair advantage.
I could see that. He kind of like sling himself.
Your crutches don't get fatigued.
And there's a weapon, you can knock somebody over. It's on the right or left side of you.
I want to see you do a 5K.
You did?
Yeah, I would think that would be interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
When's hey,
Decker.
there's one in
is it?
there's one in February, the 5 miler and 10 miler.
That's not a 5K.
They probably have a 5K too. I don't know. We'll look into it. I'm thinking about doing the 10 milers, the gateway to the Delta.
Oh, I want to do that.
I'll send it to you.
do it with you.
So I should start working out this week then.
Yeah, you might want to get a head start on it.
I'll do that soon.
What up?
Get out.
Yeah, I'm not. All I'm looking for is just completion. I'm not looking for a certain time.
Hi, Ben's mom.
Your mom's on here.
Yeah, she's watching
What's her name?
Billy.
Vanessa. No, there's it's
Vanessa. Billy.
a shared face.
Good to see you. Or good for you to see us. I guess.
We also have 3 viewers on YouTube. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Roger.
You guys, I haven't seen him in like a year. Since we renamed the channel, he has not been on here. He's probably like, what is this channel? That's Pastor Roger Howell.
Watch him comment in a second.
Yeah. And get Roger to do one.
And your wife is also watching.
So,
And your son.
And your son.
who's yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to get into, this is something you don't know about, Mr. Rick, but you actually, and they don't know this story, but you actually influenced the creation of the Burden Society. You don't know it. They don't know it. And I'm going to tell you why.
We did know. You told us the other day.
Did I? I told you that he did, but I didn't tell you how.
I
So,
think other things are going to line up once you probably tell me, because there's other things that I've got to tell you that are lining up that we both didn't know, but you go ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so it was about, I think we started this in January, but it was actually a couple months in the making. So it was the end of last year. They were doing where they split the church in half, and they had the men's groups and the women's group. And that's kind of where all this started, is because Mark Driscoll was talking about the lion and the lamb. And that's a big part of you might have seen our logos. We have the lion and the lamb on there. It's a big part of what we talk about. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to put more lamb in the lions and more lion in the lambs, in a short way to put it. But you came up there and it was all guys in there, and I don't remember exactly what you said, but you were like, man, you need to step up. And it was during that period God was kind of speaking to me about all this, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but it kind of just fell together. And you gave a rousing speech that day, and I was like, I'll take this as a mission.
Well, that's strange that you said that, but that's kind of, I was in the middle of doing kind of what you're doing. I had this calling on me to raise young men up to be stronger men, and not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, in every aspect of their life. And it was just a drive that God put in me to do, and I didn't know where to start, how to do it. It was just a fire. And I saw an interview you did with these guys here, and you kind of hit on that, where you were feeling led to do this, but you really didn't know why or how to start or what.
Yeah.
You just started.
Yeah, and we're still like working through that. And it was like with the forge and stuff, I was talking to them the other day. It's like we have so many ideas, and we don't really know where we want to go with it, but we're just going to do it and see what happens. Take that step and see where God takes us. But I don't know if y'all caught anything about that, but it's kind of lining up to here we are,
Yeah.
Just a bunch of burdens.
Well, past burdens.
Had a burden on me. That's kind of how that was.
Yeah.
It's a burden. When God puts something on you to do, I think one thing I shared with the men was, if you don't step up and do when God directs you to do something and you don't do it, He will raise somebody else up to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And you'll know it when it happens, because you'll know He told me to do that. I didn't do it. And so I've had that experience before, and I try to not let that happen. God is laying something on my heart. I try to do it. So
I've also found that, like, sometimes you're on a path here, but y'all can't see my hands, but I'm going to do this with my hands. You're on a path here, and God's like, hey, go to that water cup over there. And you don't know why you need to go to that water cup, but you go to this water cup, and before you get there, God's like, hey, go to the audio interface. And you're like, well, I thought I was going to the cup. And you never get to the cup, but God really just pulled you over here for who knows what reason. Maybe it was to prevent you from running into something this way, but eventually you're getting over here. Maybe if you would have stayed on this path, you would have never landed where you landed in the end. That's kind of a long way around to say, like, just trust God, even if it doesn't turn out the way you want to. Because, last few years, there's a lot of things I was like, why? Why are we going through this? Why is God taking me through this? And then, here we are. We never would have got to here without what we've been through. So even with Ben, I mean, even some of the stuff, like, we just met him
Yesterday.
the first, like, with last March. You met him at the gym, but last March when the first forge, like, literally like a week or two before the forge, he had like a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
And we really connected on that because I'd been through some of that with my wife. And, if that hadn't happened, or we had never met him, maybe we wouldn't have been able to be there for him, and it's just easier. Hindsight is 20/20. Like, you can see where God's working when you look back at it a lot easier than when you're in it.
We got to trust the process. One thing I always live by is obedience is 10 times better than sacrifice. Being obedient to what God wants you to do is, no matter where you think it's going to lead you or the doubts in your mind, it's always going to have a good outcome, because God's not going to put you in harm's way. He's not going to lead you somewhere He doesn't want you to go. So as long as we stay true to His will, the things will just fall in line. And that's what they're doing now.
That's right. And I wanted to get into this later, but I'll just wait. I'll save it for later.
Well, to follow up on that, I did watch one of the interviews y'all did with Chris Lott about a year ago. I ran into him today, and I brought that up to him about him being on y'all's podcast, and he was really pumped about it. What a good time he had. But he made a statement in there. I think you asked him if he had it to do over again, would he do anything differently? in this path that he's on. And he thought about it for a second. He made one of the wisest statements I think I've ever heard for someone that's young like him. Even grown adult Christians, if you ask them that, most will say, yes, I would go back to my teens and I would tell my all those different age groups or levels where you probably made mistakes. And Chris said, I don't think I'd do any of it all over again. He said, because if I had any change in the direction of where I am now, if I had made any change in my path, I could have ended up on any other timeline that would have taken me away from where I am now. And I'm in my happiest place and where I think God wants me to be.
Right.
So you need to think about that, about that, about being out of line with where God's taking you. And you said it earlier. When God's taking you through, that struggle sometimes is really, really difficult, and you may want to quit or take a break or something, but God's wanting you to continue on, press on.
Right. And, just to give an example, this is something that the last Forge we did, I think, is when this clicked in me, is that, at the time I didn't, like, when we had those miscarriages, I was like, I didn't know why or what or how that could be fruitful in any way. I was like, really the only thing people would tell you is like, you can help other people that's going through it. I'm like, I'd rather just not, I'd rather not go through the pain. But looking back at it, I look back and I was like, if we had never had those miscarriages, this would not exist, because I would have never went to the gym. That's right after we had the first miscarriage is when I started my gym membership. And that's where I met this guy. We started the podcast, and we started the Burden Society, and we started the Forge, and then we invited Taylor and Ben, and now you're here, with however many guests we've had, so
He's got a plan.
Yeah, he's got a plan. And I'm not saying God made the miscarriages happen. I'm just saying he used that for good. He worked it around. So like we said, we don't really know much about you. Honestly, you sent us a list of notes, and it was like, wow. So why don't you just tell us about yourself? Let me say this. We pride ourselves, or our goal here is to make better men, like we were saying earlier. And I always ask people, like, when you see a man, when you close your eyes and you picture someone in your life that you're like, that's a man, who do you picture? And that's something we ask a lot, or I intend to ask a lot. But I picture you as a man. You're one of those pictures, because you're physically, you're in shape. Emotionally, you're a leader here, and you're a man. And so how did you become the man you are today? That's our question.
How do we get there?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a long story, man. You don't have enough bandwidth to cover what all it took to get.
Well, you just say it and we'll have it on recording.
Yeah, we do it on episode 10, next week or something. But yeah, it's God just set me up from the get-go, man. He just had great plans for me, and I had no idea what I was coming into the world into, but I was born in North Mississippi, just from a young mother. She got married at, I think, age 15, had her first kid at 16. One of the things that most people don't know is that my mother, whose name is Little Nubbin Payne, defeated Elvis in his first talent contest. She was 13 and he was 10.
Wow.
So she put a
cheap shot.
She put a big L on Elvis.
She may have created Elvis for who he is.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for that, he'd just be Vis Presley.
That's right. So
he gave him that L.
yeah. So but that's kind of where that started out there. But she had 7 kids, and I was one in the middle. And that story you've heard from middle kids or the oldest oftentimes get put in charge of things. So I've been a leader since God just made me that way. I think great leaders are born. I think God put something in them that's innate that not everyone has. I think you can learn and teach yourself leadership skills, but there's some leaders that they come out of the womb leaders. God made them that way. You look at David. David was born, he was always a leader, even as a young guy. So my life was kind of David-esque, where I went through a lot of things as a young kid, doing things that I guess maybe progress and stuff like that, where David killed a lion and a bear by the time he was 13, 14, 15. So I hadn't killed any lions or bears yet, but I was in some close quarter things like that kind of formed me. You talk about forge. Those things that don't kill you make you stronger. You all guys talk about that probably. And so I think God just allowed me to be, or to go through things that he knew I would survive, that a lot of other men probably just couldn't make. And it was kind of what you said earlier about why did God let you go through it and not maybe someone else? But he knew that you would be able to withstand that and be able to share that later on. So it's going to help people. So that's kind of how that was. But being a leader over your siblings like that kind of set the stage for it. And then I got into sports. I was a 4-letter athlete in high school, baseball, football, basketball, track, did all of that. And then so was a hunter and fisherman. So come from a family like that of, I guess you'd just say they're hero types.
Macho man.
Yeah.
How fast can you run a 40 right now?
Right now? In his car?
Yeah, it depends on who's after me, man.
He zooms on those things.
Yeah, I can go. It's a little bit under 5. Yeah. 5 minutes. But anyway, I hope that's kind of, there's a whole lot to unpack how I got to this. And so we can kind of piece it out or something if you want.
That everybody wants to know is your leg.
Yeah. All right.
How did you lose were you born with one or did you lose it?
No. I was 20, hunted my whole life since I was 8. And so I was coon hunting with a good buddy of mine named Snuffy. Doesn't that sound like a good Mississippi coon hunt?
Yeah.
That was like a black and white cat.
Yeah, Snuffy. So anyway, we were hunting down in Bahia on the Coldwater River. And I was jumping across a creek and jumped in a washout where the dirt was only just a few inches thick, but it looked like it was solid ground. So my foot went through that. And when it did, I twisted as I fell and all my body weight went on it. So I broke it and my leg was down in that hole. So it broke it at the femur, which is the largest bone in your body. So it broke it. And just so happened that particular night, it usually just me and my buddy was hunting, but he took his 13-year-old son with us. First time and only time I guess he ever coon hunted with us. And his 13-year-old son had to walk out of the woods and get help at a farmhouse several miles away, 13-year-old. And his dad taught him how to read a compass right there and how to get out of the woods by himself. And I laid there till I think they got in there that was happening about 6 o'clock, and about 7 hours later, about 1 o'clock, they got me out.
Wow.
And so,
you were just stuck in the hole? Or?
Oh, yeah, I was stuck in a hole with a broke leg. It was pretty traumatic. Then they got me on the gurney and started putting me in the back of the ambulance down in the middle of an empty bean field. They dropped me, and I fell out of the ambulance, and the whole gurney and everything fell out on the ground. I fell off the gurney thing, so they had to pick me back up, put me on that. So
it's a lawsuit waiting.
Oh yeah, so ended up having cancer right there at the break, and so at 25, I was just a few weeks from being 25, and I had to make the decision. The doctor came in speaking to me. I didn't have a mama, daddy to come in and make the decisions for me. So he said, if we don't take it off, you're going to die, because you got cancer. And there's a 50-50 chance you'll live if we take it off and you go through the chemo and all that stuff. So that's the short story of it. They went in and took it off, and then I was out in 6 or 7 days and driving in about 10, and coon hunting in a couple of weeks. So
like nothing happened, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I just had to learn how to do it.
You instantly just go to crutches?
Yeah. Well, they took me through rehab and all that stuff to set me up for an artificial limb and all that stuff. And I did that and wore one the whole time I was in business for 25 years. I
Okay.
retired at 50. But anyway, that's how that happened. So
I don't think he could do alternating pistol squats.
Just one side. That's a one-legged squat.
yeah, I'm king of the one-legged squats, bro.
That seemed like it would be hard without the counterbalance of the other leg. Can you
Always do it assisted.
Well, your body will it'll align itself up. It just did.
How long ago was that?
Well, I'm 68.
Yeah, we're back.
I was 25, so do the math. 43 years ago.
Wow. That's older than all of us. That just 43.
Hey, couple more. Ooh, one more year, and I beat him for having 2 legs longer.
I don't think that's a flex.
Well, you abuse your legs pretty much doing all those marathons.
Use them.
All 2 of them. So, wow. So, we were all wondering.
Yeah.
Even Abby was like,
I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
about-
I didn't know he was missing a leg until he showed up today.
you just missed. I said it in the group, but
Man, I get it all the time. Anytime you go into a store, or a bank, anything, you go up to the counter, and the first thing they ask is, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Why are you on crutches?" Yeah. Let me.
I'm missing a leg.
Yeah. Let me back up.
just throw your not leg on the counter.
Yeah, and then they feel real bad about asking that question, So then that's
You
embarrassing.
should get a shirt that like, I only have one leg.
Yeah. That's just air pointing right down there over there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm on crutches.
Or you could just go into that whole story that, again, just even the long version.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, when I was born,
Yeah.
then I got into coon hunting.
Yeah.
Or what you do is you stand there on 2 crutches. Like, I'll tell you why. Come kick my right leg. Have him kick it, and it's just nothing there. I just start fishing out.
Just tell them that you were squatting too much the other day, so you're kind of sore.
Yeah.
So
I usually just say shark attack, and then that really. Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what about the
Oh, when an alligator did eat it. What are you talking about?
yeah? What about the gunshots? You said you survived.
Yeah, I've been through some stuff. For young people, this goes back to kind of what we talked about earlier a little bit about where our calling is and why I felt like I was led to kind of help raise up young men, and I just see where they are, and maybe it could be the years and the era of which we live, but I'm just telling y'all that when I was raised up, what young men did. Like my older brothers were raised on a farm. When I was 8, my next one up was 11, and the next one above that was 13. Even during the summertime, they got up at 5 o'clock every single morning, 7 days a week, because all the cows had to be milked, all the stuff, the farm had to be done, everything that was done on a living farm. So everything you ate and drank, milk, all that stuff came off that farm. So that 11 and that 13-year-old were out there doing those things, driving mules, gardening with mules. My grandfather didn't have a tractor till several years later. So you had an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old out there putting harnesses and pull straps on mules at 11 and 13. What do you think most 11 and 13-year-olds are doing right now on a Saturday?
Watching Valorant.
That's you.
Doing what?
You.
Yeah. So I just felt like there's a need. Somebody's got to do something, because dads aren't doing it with their kids because
Exactly.
their sons ended up that way somehow. So either their mamas are raising them or the dads just checked out. I'm not saying that just is a blanket statement for all of them, because I'm sure what you guys are doing, you're preempting that. So y'all are trying to fix your sons and soon to be sons and to be men of God, just be strong men and
Don't think you're.
yeah.
That's another problem.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something to help these young men to grow into things, and we're doing it. I got with Benji and Brian Welch, them, and they have Sons of Thunder, and they're 11 and up, and so back during that time when you talked about me talking to the men that night, Brian called me up and just said, I felt led to let you know that we're going to start doing something with these boys this weekend, and it's wanted to know if you want to be a part of it. I said, that's exactly what I want to do. And so I started there. God just put one right in my face, said, this is what I wanted you to do, take off. And so I've been working with them, and about once a month, man, we take them out, teach them gun safety, plan identification, how to survive if you just get put out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is what we're working on these young guys with. So that's what we're doing with them.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of doing the similar vein. We're
you just do next day.
Yeah, next level up.
Yeah,
we actually
level up. Yeah.
We have a 11-year-old that comes out with us, Owen Rains.
Yeah, he comment section, right?
He's on the Facebook chat.
My man Owen.
But like I was gonna say, like we're open to all ages. I think it's important that I feel like generations they stick with their own, and you have your older guys, they'll do stuff with the older guys, and guys our age stick with guys our age. And then I think a big problem with current society is just the problem of fatherlessness, is people don't have someone to model their self after.
Right.
Like parents are divorced, dad's not in the home, or dad's just working constantly. He's not there to raise his kids, just because, the state of society now forces that. And, that's kind of where we bring this along. What we do is kind of just trying to make better men, men.
Well, I was impressed. Like I said, I've watched a lot of you guys' videos and stuff, and I super impressed. I couldn't get here fast enough tonight. I was really jacked about coming here to meet these two guys and just to talk about this, because we're all doing the same thing. Evidently God put it on your heart and mine too, and so we'll take this county if we have to, bro.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
That's what we're thriving for.
But anyway, you
take it over. It's ours.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Well, a lot of what we do, I'm just trying to figure out, because I do have some questions. I didn't really have time to take a bunch of notes, but, you sent me a video of Sean Ryan podcast, and they're talking about, it's actually something we've talked about on the podcast. Some stuff he talks about is the terrorists coming over the border.
Right.
And, this is something that I every time we have like a leader or someone that's older than us, we've had pastors on here before, I always ask them something like this about, and the terrorists coming over, they don't believe the same as us. Their religion teaches them to kill us. If you're being realistic, this is true. If they're coming over, what would be, we're all Christians. The Christian thing to do. A lot of the world would say, well, a lot of American Christians would say, just, let them come in and kill you. Stick your neck out. I just want to know what you think. If Muslims, I'm not saying all Muslims are terrorists. If there was terrorist extremists coming over, and they came down your neighborhood, you knew they were coming, what do you think the best thing, where do you think God would lead you to do if you knew that they were coming down your block, house to house?
Yeah. You asking me that?
I'm asking you that.
Being that person? Yeah. Well, you got to look at it from you got to start with the Bible. What's the scripture say on that? And I go back to earlier, like David's period of time. It said the sons of Issachar, they were also known as David's mighty fighting men. And it said the sons of Issachar understood the signs of the time and they knew what to do about it. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like they knew what to do about defending their nation, and that's what they did. So I would suggest people go back and read those stories about David and the sons of Issachar and what they had to go through. God allowed them to defend and their women and children. That's why we, as men, God put us here, part of it. But I mean, we're to share the gospel and all. But I'm talking about as far as being husbands and fathers. We're to be leaders of our family, and we're supposed to set those examples and make men of our young men. And I say you defend your family at all costs. I will, and me and God will discuss that when I get there. but
Yeah,
taking care of my family.
we agree.
Yeah.
I think we could speak because
Heaven, yeah.
that's something we incorporate, in our forge is we're going to train people on firearms.
Right.
And, not just for self-defense, but in case, something happens in your community to be able to defend your community. And,
Well, the world has changed, buddy.
yeah.
This is the OK Corral. Everybody's packed.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, because one of the things that we do at the Burden Society, as far as like our forges and stuff go, and of course the forge is really just taking everything that we do and putting it all in one event.
It's a goulash.
But, we teach the way that we use like our own non-specified formula of creating better men.
Right.
And we think of better men being better leaders, but also better protectors.
Yeah.
Because that's our role as men, to be leaders, but also to be able to protect the ones that we need to protect,
Right.
the shepherd to our sheep.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, one way to protect is to know how to operate a firearm, because you may need it, right?
You're not going to defend your family with a sword.
Whether you and your wife and your 11-year-old are hiking a trail, and then you
A grizzly bear.
like the sun goes down, your battery in your headlamp goes out, you don't know where you're at, and now out there, this is the time that those predators prey, and guess who the prey is? It could be protecting it from there, or protecting yourself in a convenience store when stuff goes down, and
Or protecting others,
so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's something when I first, I haven't been on this avenue for but a couple of years. I was kind of more of a sheep type Christian for a while. I feel like there's necessary things on both sides. But, when I first started carrying a gun, I would only carry it when I was with my family, because I was like, well, I just want to defend them. And then I was like, well, I think I might need to survive too. So and then now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm looking out for everybody around me. So I feel like it's kind of a progression. But that's just something we talk about. Not everybody's going to agree with everything we say, but we've kind of hit on it. A man's a leader, a protector. When you see a man, like, what are the things, like, what is a man?
What do you think, like, the roles of a man are? Kind of like how we say a leader and protector.
Right. Well, you got first and foremost, your name goes before you. It goes out in front of you when as you grow older. Your family name, and so with that comes character. And so your name and your character are tied together. So when people see you coming, they know, here comes Peyton, and what comes with Peyton. Does Peyton have character? And so I think you've got to have that leadership quality in you, but you also have to have character. And with that character comes the ability to handle every situation. You got to have the sense to handle them differently. You want to be a peacemaker. And so you want to start from the position of peace if you can. At all costs, you want to be a peacemaker. And then things can change quickly if it has to, and then you have to become a peacemaker to a defender in like 1.8 seconds if you have to.
Yeah.
But you got to be prepared.
He'll find his peace elsewhere.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's it. But those are a good name and your character. And so I say you start there.
Kind of along those lines, we usually interchange a man, like we're trying to make men, like, and an asset. Really, it's the same thing. And like you were saying, if Peyton's that guy, like, oh, Peyton's come over. Yeah. Or if Peyton's coming over, oh, okay, cool. Peyton's coming over. It's going to be not just that it's going to be a good time. It's just like you're a joy to be around. First off, you're not going to be lying the whole time. And, if I need help, this is some guy I can depend on.
Just don't ask these guys if they want to come.
It's only Peyton.
Yeah. Well, look, if the Bird Society sees Peyton coming up and they're already dreading him coming up, what do you think his wife and children are feeling? How?
Yeah.
I need to go ask.
What do you want?
No, again, all three of y'all's reputations have preceded you. if there'd have been a major character flaw in any one of the three of you, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
I'd have kindly just out and just said, yeah, I appreciate it, bud, but I got other things to do. But
Yeah.
I pick and choose my friends very carefully, very carefully.
That's a good.
That too.
I started after I picked Ben, but I pick them carefully now.
after. Yeah, we're still wondering
That's when you had a problem picking friends. Okay, sorry about that.
how far. What's our time looking like?
We're at
40.
40.
Okay, cool. We got plenty. You got time?
I got all the time.
I got a question.
I'm here.
Something that really intrigued me
Sure, Ben.
was you said you had your throat cut twice in 24 hours.
Yeah, that was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to see a pattern in my life when you at the end of this thing, you're going to go, man, that guy should have been dead. There's so many of those, and when you get later in life, you look back on them, and if you've got wisdom, you look back and you know that wasn't luck. You know that God saved you every one of those times, and if He did save me all those times, why did He save me, and what for? And so that's kind of how I approach it. But yeah, I had a thyroid problem, I think, in 2015, and they were going to go in and take my thyroid out. Well, the process is they cut you from here to here, from one side of your neck to the other. And so they go in, and before I did that, I talked to the doctor, and matter of fact, I think it was my wife. She asked him, she said, I need to ask this, what's the percentages of success that you have? I mean, is he going to live through this thing? And so he said, oh, of course, lady. Ma'am, 1 in 100. 1 in 100. Does anything ever go wrong? Just, we're going to have him out of here. Well, the next day we'll let you go home at, if he's doing okay by noon, the next day. Just want to keep me 24 hours. So I wake up, man, I look like Frankenstein when I sure put a mirror in front of me so I could see it. And they super glued it together all the way across here. Well, the next morning, I get ready to get up and they want me to walk around a little bit. And I stood up, and when I did, Sherry had just left the room to go get some coffee, and the nurses were coming in to do their little thing where they check everything. And I stood up, and it felt like a rubber band pop in my neck.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I looked in the mirror, and my neck swelled up like a buck in rut from here to here. And man, I just fell back into the bed and pushed the little button thing, like the panic button thing. And man, here they come, and they come and grab me. My doctor was over in Olive Branch, and something was going on. What had happened was he had nicked an artery inside my neck, and I was bleeding out on the inside. And so
That don't sound right.
no. And so they had to go back in right then and cut me back open and go back in and connect the arteries and all that stuff. And had I gotten on, if they had let me go and I had gotten in that car, maybe even in the parking lot, I'd have not made it. But when they got me into that emergency room with the doctors, he's putting on his gloves right there as they were pushing me through the doors of that emergency room on that second attempt. And I couldn't breathe. It was cutting and I just looked at him and just reached out and I said, help me. That's all I knew to say. I mouthed it. I couldn't speak because it had cut off my speech. And I just went. And so that's how you get your throat cut twice in 24 hours.
Wow. Not exactly what I expected, but
Yeah, I'm over here like, dude, this dude's like something bad. Bama jamma, man.
shot at.
Yeah.
Did you ever explain the shot at?
No. I'll go through maybe a couple of them.
So he was in the bed, and then like they shot a Nerf gun at him.
Yeah.
He got the shot at the doctor.
No. All right. Again, I'm probably about 11 or 12, and this goes back to things we want to. I have these talks with these young men too when my opportunity presents itself to talk to them about who you pair yourself up with or who you pack with, that type of thing. So I had an older brother, a couple of cousins, an uncle, several years older than me, probably in the 16 to 17 range, and I'm 12. You shouldn't be hanging out with 15, 16, 17-year-old when you're 12. But yet me and my younger cousin, who was either 10 or 11, somewhere in there, he was with me. They thought it'd be cool to go steal some watermelons. And so, what farmer this is your logic at 12.
Not much.
Yeah. He's got a buck in these watermelons. He's not going to miss one, you know. So we go down to this man's 1,000-acre field of watermelons, and he wants to keep them as much as we want to take them from him. And so he shot. And so we panicked and all jumped in the car and took off. And so he recognized who it was. He ended up talking to my grandmother, who was my uncle's mother, the very next day. So needless to say, that was bad, but it could have gone really, really bad.
Yeah. You didn't learn your lesson because you got shot at 3 more times.
Yeah. A couple of those were
Squash? Take some squash.
yeah.
They were all watermelon.
Yeah.
He really wanted a watermelon.
Well, a couple of them were just man, I was raised up in a lot of I don't know about a lot. Let's just say there was alcohol involved with in your family line, that type thing, and so things kind of got out of hand at a couple of points in time in families' lives, fights and stuff like that. And so a couple of them were there, and then I just want. I'm not going to say a whole lot about those. Those are personal, but
Hey.
one-on-one or in a maybe church setting, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
So.
But and another one was just oh man, 17, and a girl tells you to come over to her house and come in the back window, you know. Before
it's adding up.
Before we were Christians, yeah, that's adding up.
Math.
Yeah. And just as I put a big long, like a 2x12 board up against that house to proceed up through there, I heard heavy running across the house. And then I heard a gunshot. And my brother was driving me. He was parked up the road, and he took off. And so I thought, man, I'm stranded. So I'm running through a field, crossing fences, come out on the road, and he's gone and turned around and come back, and he picked me up. So just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing can cost you your life. And so,
yeah, it seems like you haven't been doing the right thing to induce these.
Yeah. I was doing some typical teenage stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully y'all have not been that dumb. So
I usually just grab a ladder, not like a 2x4.
yeah. You're a little smarter than I was, Peyton.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, how did you, what age did you get saved?
Oh, wow. I was a grown man. I was one of those, kind of like what you say, from Missouri, you got to show me. I guess, I was and this is a double-edged sword. If you're a self-made person where you've just picked yourself up and built yourself up, you start believing in yourself, and then you just take on that you control everything, and you really don't. You think you do. And so I was grown with children, and I just had a pastor just ask me just one day. I was always searching, but I'd been through every denomination that you could, you know, Church of Christ, Baptist, Methodist. I'd been through them all, and I just didn't. It was like I was afraid I was not going to be able to have fun. God didn't want me to have fun,
Yeah.
and I like to have fun, and so, and I'm an adventurous type person, and so I just thought God was going to crimp my style, man, and so it just wasn't for me. I believed in Him in like some kind of far out thing, you know, that maybe existed, maybe did.
Just like when I get ready, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of that. I feel like that's a lot of people. It's like, when I get done having fun,
Yep.
then I'll join the religion, you know. It's more of a religion thing. It's the way they see it. It's kind of like duty.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt about it. But it just, again, I finally just reached a pastor that was like a man's man. He played college football. Most pastors at that point had just been seminary preacher sons that went up and just really didn't have any life experiences that I had gone through.
Yeah.
So this guy was able to talk to me about manly things, kind of like what Damon does. That's kind of why I got connected here, was because he's that kind of man. But he just asked me, said, would you like to know you could be saved? And I said, sure. And so he turned to Romans and started reading, through Romans. And so I said, man, it sounds good to me. If it's that simple, yeah, I can do all of that. And so I just did. But then
I feel like that's what a lot of people, they just need somebody to explain it.
Yeah.
They have that idea in their head of what it is, and most of the time it's the wrong. Or they would have, accepted Jesus a lot sooner.
Yeah. Well, I ended up I have more fun now than I could ever have as a lost person. But I just told you a bunch of stuff I did when I was lost. As you could tell, I would laying my head down at night trying to figure out, how did I get into the stuff I had gotten into earlier in the night, and waking up every night and every day, your life is flashing before your eyes and you're going, man, I dodged a bullet there. I dodged this there, and at some point it's going to catch up with me. But when you're under 25, you think you're bulletproof and you got a long time to get there. But that's not always the case.
What?
Shoot me.
Did they shoot you in the academy?
I mean, you should. I mean, look, if you have to get tased to carry a taser, why do you not get shot to carry?
You get pepper sprayed too. So.
Fun fact: you don't actually have to get pepper spray to carry the pepper spray.
Like
but you have to get pepper spray.
Yeah. We got any chats? I see Cody Murphy. Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
we need to get you on the podcast.
YouTube popping, man.
I had a viewer just ask me a question, and it's something that I did. I don't know if I've ever noticed it.
Hey, start from the top, and we'll just.
And we can talk about aliens, UFOs, man.
This was the first question somebody asked, but I guess they noticed that when I'm concentrating on something, I twitch my face sometimes. And
who said that?
I've noticed this. It's his name is SchlagPop60. And I mean, yes, to answer your question, I do indeed split my face when I'm concentrating on something too hard. I've been told that.
Let's see it. I want to see it.
I've been told that 4 times this past week by Taylor, my mom, my dad, and now this guy.
Is it just like you're squinting to see?
So the thing is,
do it. Give me the example.
That's your mom with a fake account. What it is?
It probably is, or my dad. No,
yeah.
But when I'm staring off into the distance, I like raise my lip or like open my eyebrows some, and I do it because I feel my face kind of getting stuck together for some reason. If that makes sense.
It doesn't.
Well, I don't know how to explain it then. I wouldn't call it a tick. He said he has something like a tick. It's not really a Tourette's thing. I just kind of do it when I'm concentrating or when I'm staring off to the distance.
I think your demonstration, I was like, yeah, I have seen you do that a lot, but it doesn't.
Well, my dad made a joke about it. He was like, you don't want to go to law enforcement, have an interview, and to start twitching your face the entire time that you're getting access.
Is that like a nervous thing?
No, I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's something to do with my nerves, but.
When I get nervous, I just start yawning. I'm not nervous.
I burp a lot.
You do that, period.
I don't. It's not really,
I
wonder if it's just like an acid reflux thing.
Probably so. All right,
but when I'm encouraged, I just burp.
Owen, we already talked about Owen.
Jody said something, and then Vanessa Billy.
What'd she say?
What did it say? The dad is here too, and God always deviates your path in order to gain support for your own paths.
Amen.
I don't know if that was Vanessa or Billy that said that, but amen.
Yeah, they're sharing.
Noticed, yeah.
Probably like.
He says he yawns and pops his fingers. Must be a rapper.
I wonder if I have like ADHD or something. Like, I feel like, oh no,
I think everybody does.
Is that the wrong thing I'm thinking of? Like, I just like, I be like,
fiddling.
Just have to fiddle with something.
You just have pent up energy.
Yeah.
Youth.
That would be a great time to pop my fingers.
Just 2 of these a day probably doesn't help it either, so. Always plays into.
We got anything else on YouTube?
I mean, sure, we have a lot. We had.
Well, go through them, buddy.
Had your wife saying, I think Dada is on the podcast, and we have Sherry saying she loves the pod. And then we have the Energetic 12, who was talking about what Rick said earlier, how it was really true.
YouTube is popping. This is
they're all liking the jokes. Much of the
We didn't joke at all.
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking
We can
about?
get into some joking.
a bunch of the comments were just referring to things he said, so they're not gonna make sense if I read them one by one.
Yeah.
And then the Burn Society commented.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Random Society.
It's not me. Must be Taylor. Let's see if I have anything else for you.
He's not very smart.
Well, I know I'm here to support you guys. I know that. I mean, in any way possible. Anyway, I mean,
We could come up with some ways. Hey, I got sorry.
I feel like 500,000 would be really.
Oh man,
He said anyway.
What's going to say that?
Say it. I'm not back yet.
And we're back.
All right. So
We are back this time.
do we do preparedness
Top.
training? Yeah, start back over. Preparedness training. Well, what we do, like he was saying earlier, the forge. The forge is really our only. What we do have other things we do, but our forge is where we started. So we're really at the forge. You're getting a bunch of everything. You're going to get preparedness training. You're going to get survival training, firearms training, fitness. You're going to get the word. You're going to get everything. It's like a shotgun. We're giving you a taste of everything that we plan to do, and every little bit that we do at the forge, we're going to eventually have training and classes towards that. We consider the Burden Society a training company, even though all we have is the forge right now. We do have range days where it's not just the guns. We do train with other things. And we did our community camp the other day. We did the ruck and the range day. We did all three the same day just because we're all together. Might as well do all three. We do a ruck every other week, which is to build community and fitness, which is really easy. You just walk. You don't even have to have a pack, but, a ruck is with a pack, but you don't have to have a pack. But we camp about every month or two. Just depends on the time, what if we have the chance. And when we do our camps, there's not really an agenda, except for maybe like we built a shelter this past time. And he taught me a little of knot tying. We talked about comms, radios, just different things, whatever comes up. And, eventually when we get the knowledge needed to teach other people those things, like we know a lot about firearms right now and fitness. So that's really our big two things that we teach a lot of because we know a lot of that. Not more than some people, but that's the things that most people, we have more knowledge than the common person on those things right now. So as we accumulate the knowledge and go through life, and because we're learning all these things as well, and as we get comfortable enough to teach, we're going to introduce it to the forge. And then as we get more comfortable, we'll design entire training classes around that because we want more people to be more prepared. Preparedness is a big thing for us. And, like even along those lines, EDC, we talk about everyday carry. That's a part of preparedness. It's something that's often overlooked. A lot of people think you just stock up a bunch of things, but you need to be prepared while you're out of the house.
It's like your everyday carry is you being prepared for the day.
Yeah. So, and we're trying to prepare people by training them to be fitter so they don't have a heart attack if something crazy happens. Right. So what do you think, Peyton? Do we do any preparedness training?
I mean, we do, but we don't. We haven't really so again, our biggest, you could say products, not really products.
That's what
but,
I say too.
forge in the camp. We get people to show up to rucks and stuff too. But we haven't really yet just dived deep into everyday carry.
We plan on doing that type of thing.
I have gone into I think 2 now. Okay, look, this is what we need to do. Let's try to talk to people about, having you get home bag or having you a bug out bag. That's the difference in the two. Or just having the general knowledge of, even if you only have a flashlight, a pack of gum, and a knife on you, you can survive in the wilderness. You can start a fire, you know.
Just being more capable with what you have.
I'm pretty sure she was probably thinking, were you guys going to probably offer some kind of training just about what you just said, about some of those things, just like what is a bug out bag and what is a get home bag? Are you thinking about opening it up
When we
community perhaps?
Yeah, for sure. As of right now, we do try to hit on all of these topics at the Forge, and as of right now, that's all we have. But we're gonna design more events where it's more survival based, more preparedness based, specific events for that. But right now, it's just the Forge. I do plan on putting another event out. We don't know exactly what it is in the middle of the summer, just because we have a Forge in the beginning of the year and the end of the year. But
like, I'm actually considering,
and whatever, we're going to do all this stuff, and then whatever the demand's for, we'll probably go towards that.
like, I'm actually considering this coming Forge, not even bringing like my big backpack and just bringing in one of my smaller kits that I can't carry a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to have, not to make it harder, but to see what I can accomplish with the little equipment that I could have, like, you're not going to have everything at all times unless you have an entire equipment set built around that.
Cody said, Mr. Rick, don't trust them. They drug me out all in the woods and beat me when I went to the Forge. He came to a Forge, a half of one.
I mean, we told you we were going to beat you.
So we'll kind
I
of
got you back, Cody.
just so you know more about the Forge, like he was saying, he might go minimal, but we're not requiring everybody to go minimal. We're like, the only requirement to the Forge is, well, we do have a required list of a couple things that we need, like a cutting tool, a pack, a sleep system, like a sleeping bag or something like that. The bare minimum, you could sleep on the ground, but we're not saying you have to. We've had people come out there with tents and stuff, but with this type of Forge from now on, like, you're going to have to be able to fit it in a backpack. And we're actually going to build shelters this time.
Because, like, our very first Forge was, like, pull up and camp, and we had everybody's trunk loaded down with all kinds of glamping accessories and stuff, pretty much. And so we're straying away from that and making things more realistic, right? Because, like, if you need to have a scenario where, like, let's say we're looking at it from a preparedness aspect, you're going to be able to get your Nissan Forerunner, or that's not a Forerunner, Nissan something, Versa or something, up a mountain out of just...
You might have to go on foot.
Like, you need to have some kind of way some kind of knowledge of equipment, some kind of way to have what you need on you. And, like, you can be like Dylan, he has we'll call it a bug out crate, right? Or a camp out crate, bug out bag, camp out crate, something like that. But, like, he has equipment that, like, if things were to not go the way we want them to go in the world or in the country, he can get somewhere and have the equipment he needs. Now he's also in I'm not going to say a Nissan Forerunner again, because that's not a real thing.
A Rogue.
Yeah, that thing. Rouge.
Yeah.
But
that's not how you spell it, but that's a joke between us. So, what did Cody say?
Not to trust.
LOL, but seriously, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'll be back as soon as schedule allows. Make your schedule allow it.
Bye, Cody.
Cancel your shows. Like,
yeah, dude, just get serious. Well, he came to the one, but he had to leave because he
took off work. You can take off work.
You didn't have a job then.
I did. That was August.
Oh. He took off work for a couple months. But anyways, so what we're kind of going with is, like, we got what we require. You do what you want to do, and then let me step back. So during the Forge, we're kind of like the leaders. So not necessarily the participants. We do participate and build camaraderie and do a lot of the stuff together. But there are things where we just have to step back and be teachers. So there's those moments. But also, we use the Forge as a way to teach ourselves. So last time we had the Forge, we were like, hey, we've always used tents. let's just not use tents. Let's see what happens. We're just going to sleep on the ground. So that's what we did. We took it as our personal challenge. We didn't require anybody to do that except for us, because we were like, well, let's try it out. We're out here in the woods. Let's test some stuff out. So that's kind of what we do to learn, and eventually maybe use some of that knowledge to teach people. And a lot of people, there was people that just brought sleeping bags. Did Ryan even bring a sleeping bag? He built a shelter.
I don't remember. He was in his own little area.
Yeah, he ended up quitting.
Said he built a shelter. He really just built a room for his head. It wasn't very big.
It wasn't insulated. I mean, there's some sticks on it. It was a shelter.
Miss Sherry asked, how about a beginner class? And that's pretty much what the Forge is. We had tiers.
Yeah.
We had, you could say, difficulty levels to them. But before we even got past 2 different difficulties, we just kind of did away with the difficulty system. And whether the difficulty is just going to be based around when it is, like what we decide to do there. It's all beginner because it's a mix of everything.
Yeah. And we're introducing you to all kinds of different stuff. So it's not like super in depth on anything, but,
some of the things that y'all did cover, setting up a campsite, or I know the weapons part, I saw that.
We do.
Y'all had a bunch of exercises, man.
Yeah, we do. It just depends on the environment. It got really hot the last few times, so it was less fitness and more just the fitness was walking around the woods. But firearms training, we sit around the fire a lot and just talk. And I feel like that may be the biggest chunk of time that we do.
And because the talks are for 2 things, one, and not the most important, is just kind of like a state of the world kind of talk, just kind of like, where are we at as a country? Where are we at as, the world? Or, and I always say we'll just have somebody bring like a message or something. And I don't even know how many times we've had somebody actually bring the
first one
message to say, but our entire lives individually, right, are based on Jesus. Jesus is the center of our life. And that's not going to change when we come together just to have a Forge. So the Forge itself is based on Jesus, and Jesus is the center of it. And so, or at least we try to make it that way, because sometimes we'll go off and, we'll talk more about, what's going to happen if Kamala won versus Trump winning, Yeah. But we always try to bring it back like, hey, look, this is why we're here. We're not trying to be better only physically, we're trying to build each other up spiritually as well. And so a lot of our time is, like you said, taken out, just like we'll have our little campfire chats, like, what was that, FDR, they used to do something on the radio, fireside chat,
Yeah.
Pretty much like that, and that's usually what takes up a lot of our time, because we have so much time that we can, anytime we're eating, we'll use that time to talk and the dedicated time that we have to talk. And so a lot of our time is just spent in conversation.
And it's not like it's a lot of intense in-depth training, like I was saying, but we are hitting on medical, we're hitting on building shelters, and just different topics each time. Every Forge is a little different, just depending on the time of year. And there's stuff we're going to hit at every Forge, but also they're all going to be a little different because people can come back more than once, right? And, the difficulty level is whatever effort you bring and put in, that's the difficulty level. Because anybody, like we have an 11-year-old that came out and did one. We've had crippled people out there.
How old's Troy?
I don't know, 40, 30,
73,
40.
we had a 70.
No.
It's like, what, 40 something?
Probably. Yeah, maybe 39. I don't know how old he is, but he had a club foot, and he's out there. And I want to say this: it is a competition too. So, but we don't judge it based off of solely performance. It's more based off of effort. So if there's somebody out there that's super fit, like Peyton, and he's not trying hard, he's not gonna be rewarded for that. Now, if you come out there and we'll be able to tell your effort.
what if I'm not trying hard but still beat everybody?
Yeah, like we have a point system that we're still working out. It's just the Forge is still in its infancy, right? But we have a point system where you do get rewarded for performance, but you're also getting rewarded for effort. And we have a vote at the end. You probably saw that. We only voted that time, but just because we don't want the most out of shape person coming in there and winning. And we do have a cash prize now, so hopefully that sticks. But just to incentivize,
Well, we got a
coming,
sponsor for that.
it's him. Peyton's our sponsor. He doesn't have any bills, so he kind of stacks money. When this pod comes out, he might have bills. Your parents are going to kick you out.
Yes.
But, yeah, so difficulty level is just as hard as you make it. We just ask that you come and put in effort. And we could tell.
Learn.
But we've had people come and they were pretty in shape, but they just quit.
Yeah, I just got up at 5 in the morning and like, oh, I don't want to get up right now.
And they left. So, we want to put people in uncomfortable situations. And for some people, going out in the woods and chopping wood is uncomfortable. A lot of people are not raised to get dirty. That going and sleeping on the ground is not comfortable. We have this thing, which a lot of people will know what this is fire watch, where you wake up in the middle of the night and you watch the fire. You make sure it's safe. You watch the woods, make sure no coyotes come or nobody sneaks up on us. And that's very mental. You're not going to get a lot of sleep that night because we're going to be up late and we're going to get up early. And for some people, that's super uncomfortable. For some people, they love it, And so we're trying to make people uncomfortable, whether that be the spiritual conversations or the physical stuff or just getting dirty, and just trying to really just give people a little bit of taste of everything. But also at the end of the day, it is a competition too. So we're training people, but we're also testing them at the same time.
And not to mention that fire watch, we haven't had to do it yet, but we will punish people if they decide to get up, do fire watch, sit down, and fall asleep, and not wake the next person up. And so, if we don't have fire watch, you just got to get out there and probably just kind of spoiled everything. We've never had to punish anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we go over all this before the thing starts, so people can decide if they are in for it or not.
Because it's not something that's supposed to be easy, right? It's a challenge, it's a test,
Yeah.
It's like the way me and Dylan have kind of worded it a little bit. It's like, think of boot camp, but not boot camp.
It's not boot camp, but there's definitely some boot camp.
It's that type
vibes
of camp, we're not going out there to camp in the woods. Camping comes with it,
Yeah.
We're out there to test ourselves.
The majority of people that have come to Forge have never even camped before. So that's where our generation is. And me and him hadn't even camped before, like legit until this past year. So, I mean, just think this is where our society and our generation's at. So we're just trying to expose people, make it a little fun, build men all at the same time. So, yeah, a couple of these guys in the chat have been to the Forge and they'll be there.
Tyler, he's related to Los Angeles.
Yeah. What did Ryan say?
Who's that sound like he was talking about?
The quitter?
Yeah, the quitter.
He also quit.
So I said you.
So what? This last
We'll
Forge,
get them back.
yeah, he's coming. This last Forge, we had like a little lull where everybody's tired. It was like 8 to 10 in the morning, maybe, or maybe even 9 to 11 in the morning. We just were sitting around the fire doing nothing. We weren't. I don't even think we were talking. And everybody was like dozing. We were waiting for Peyton. He had to take his dog home because for some reason he brought his dog out there. And she ran away when shots were fired, so we had to work around that. But
It was all planned.
I just
Y'all didn't even realize that.
I just looked at Ryan for this 2-hour lull, and I was, actually in my head, I was like, man, this could be kind of mental if you were like, you're sleepy, you just want to go home to your bed, because it was hot and uncomfortable. And I looked at Ryan, and I could just see the quit on his face. And I was like, hey, man, what you doing? You going home? Because he was kind of packing up. And he was like, yeah, I think I'm going home. And then he left. And I was like, all right, see ya. I mean, you could leave at any time. But like I said, it is still in its infancy. So we have all kinds of ideas, and we're just going to throw all this stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And it's getting better every time. So you still coming?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. We'll give it a shot.
Hey, like I said, the difficulty is just, however, because all the fitness stuff, like the stuff in that video, we haven't even done stuff like that in a while. But the fitness stuff, it's just based on you, like effort and time. It's not like, hey, you have to do a mile in 10 minutes. It's more like, hey, 10 minutes.
Push yourself.
Yeah, 10 minutes. I want to see what you can do. You know.
Keep in mind, like Taylor will have 1 day after. I'll be 2 days after. We will be going to law enforcement academies. So don't expect to die. I'll say you get a little less of a strenuous forge. I'd say.
They weren't going to go hard anyway.
Yeah, I would. I can't win, so
yeah, we can't win. So it's like we're kind of getting to that point where at first we were participants, and now it's like we have to step back and be more of instructors and teachers, just so people can get more out of it.
that's not saying y'all have to sleep in tarps and we get a camper, but
no, we're going to participate with you as much as we can. Oftentimes, we'll probably be doing stuff harder.
Yeah. Like, we'll be, like, during, like, range and stuff, we'll take step backs, and rather than us wasting our money at a target, y'all waste y'all, so we just tell y'all how to waste it.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, a lot of the stuff that we do at the Forge is stuff that, like, I always wanted to do, but never had anybody to do it with or anybody to teach me, and then somehow me and Peyton just decided to start doing this stuff out of nowhere, so here we are teaching other people, trying to expose. We're just the main point of the Forge is to expose people to this type of stuff, because every man wants to go sleep on the ground, right?
They like to shoot guns.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like most people just go out and shoot trash, like just shoot a bucket or something, and just there we go, good to go. But there's more to it.
I want to shoot tenant, right? I don't shoot buckets.
Yeah, well, most people just go out there and shoot their magazine empty, and then that's good. I shot.
When you understand that a perpetrator can go 15 feet in 1.5 seconds, that changes everything in preparedness.
Yeah, you can't give them that time.
You have 1.5 seconds to draw your water gun and unload your water into him.
That's right.
He's allergic to water.
Highly allergic.
What is there anything going on in YouTube? Okay, cool. Well, I don't know. Well, got anything else?
What do you want to know? Like I said,
I guess
I've got a varied interest, man. Architecture, history, science.
One thing we talk about too is it's one of our little sayings: to build men, to build community, and to build culture.
Mm.
So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We want to build men at the Forge, but we also want to build a community just through everything we do. Because I feel like a lot of men just don't have the community. They're kind of just, church kind of like puts them off because it just seems feminine to them.
Yeah.
And we're trying to, like, you can shoot guns, have fun, be masculine, and still love Jesus. It's kind of like, that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to build a community like that. And we're not, we could have just started a men's group at our church, but we're all three in different churches. All four of us are in three different churches. And we kind of want to transcend just one church and build a statewide, nationwide community, and movement and build culture.
Well, if you're going to be in a men's group, this is something I've heard other men talk about too, that when you get into a men's group, if you go through the cycle of you start it up and then you start meeting, and then inevitably men start trying to build one another up, but you start going through, I guess, what your issues are and all those things. But once you've made the rounds and everybody's got all these issues that they're dealing with now what?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? I got other things I can do other than just going and sitting with you guys and just talking about all my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I can do that one-on-one with Brother Damon or one of you guys or something like that. But, taking up a couple of hours of my Saturday or something like that. What are we going to do to and to help other men grow?
Right.
You know, and other than just giving them good Christian advice, you know, there's more to it than that. Being a man.
I think men benefit a lot just from doing stuff with other men.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we just get stuck in the cycle of just work and going home, work and going home, church on Sunday, you know, not ever just taking time to just, you know, I mean, you got your football games and stuff, but, you know, you're watching the football game. You're not really talking to each other, and not every moment has to be super intentional, I don't think. What did they say?
Ryan said he's already packing for the forge. Don't steal his freaking paracord again.
Yeah, we did take his paracord. I gave it back.
You took his paracord.
Well, you strung it up.
Yeah, thought it was yours.
Well, good. It worked out. I gave it back to you, Ryan, just in pieces. But yeah, just going out there and getting dirty, camaraderie. Just think of the people with the tightest bonds, the people that's been through stuff together. You know, the soldiers that went to war together. They come back and they're more than brothers, you know? So that's just really what we have to do, and just stand alongside our brothers and go to war with them. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to be like, all right, man, how'd you sin this week?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's you know, it's always going to be something. You could always critique yourself into oblivion. But, you know, I don't know. You got anything to say about that? I feel like the world is just critiquing us enough.
Yeah.
And a lot of men just have that negative self-talk, I think.
Well, a lot of them, again, they didn't have the dad figures or father figures to teach them some of the things that you guys are just, y'all are figuring it out on your own. You know, I mean, some dads don't know how to crank a tractor, how to work a ratchet strap, how to back a 16-foot trailer. I mean, you can just go down the list of things that we all need to know right now as a 25-plus-year-old dude.
Right.
To run your family and stuff that these young men just don't know. They don't have a clue how to do this stuff. Was because their dad didn't teach them. Maybe their dad didn't even know.
Yeah.
Because most men don't even know how to handle a firearm unless they're a hunter. You know, their dad raised them. But that's the stuff that I think you're trying to get into.
Exactly.
Other men. So.
Right. And here we are, grown men, and we're learning a lot of this stuff. So. Yeah. Like you said, we're learning it basically from YouTube and just going out there and doing it ourselves. But, you know, we're trying to teach other people that, you know, just whatever we need to know, whatever we envision that a man needs to do, that's really what that we're all about.
Yeah. I do want to give you a compliment, though. I noticed, you know, you're on our security team. Have you ever heard the terminology, be the gray man? Be the great man, just kind of disappear. You don't want to bring any, you know, vision to yourself, that type of thing. You were on security detail this Sunday. She never knew it. You just blended in with the wall. You never moved. If nobody, yeah, dude, you were the clothes matched the wall. I mean, it was a whole thing. And so
that multicam putting in that work, man.
Yeah, I don't even know it.
He came out, and I just happened to be sitting out in the car getting ready to go, and I saw you come out. You had your earpieces in and all that stuff. And when I got home, I said, "Do you know who was watching security in the left front part of the sanctuary?" She goes, "No." I said, "Dylan." "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You'd have never known it." So great job on that, by the way. I felt safer in church knowing that you were back there protecting me, for sure. That's a big responsibility, man.
Yeah, you never know what could happen.
Mm-hmm. And it's getting more crazier. So.
Like we were saying with the terrorist stuff, you know, a lot of people think about, you know, mass shooters going in with one person. You know, just look at the damage that one shooter can do to someone where there's nobody protecting, like a school. They go in there, they kill 15, 20 people before a cop even shows up to the scene. And imagine what happens when there's a team of 4 guys. Like,
it's just not going to happen.
You know, you're not getting out of there like that. So, you know, that's kind of the mindset that we talk about. And we're just trying to build that. You know, that's something just some of the things that we talk about at the Forge, because you're not really going to, you don't really just go up to someone and say, hey, what happens if 4 shooters come in here right now? It's going to freak somebody out. But, it's something that you need to talk about. And that's one of the things we talk about, type things that we talk about at the Forge, is just trying to poke people's brain. And like, have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about what happens when someone pulls a gun on you or whatever, stuff like that? What happens if, we were talking about what happens if Kamala gets elected? What happens if Trump gets elected? We were going through these different scenarios, and, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. I was listening to some Navy SEAL talk, and they were like, one trained guy can take out, just the modern police department is not equipped to take out 4. Go ahead. Let's see if it'll work. The modern police department is not just you got 4 guys that are just trained and armed to the gills. It's going to take a lot. I mean, they're a lot more equipped today than they were in the 90s, but it's still like most of the people that they go up against are untrained people, just one man, with a gun that probably doesn't even know how to use it. So what we try to do is like, you have to be your own self, your own first responder. What's the average response time is like, 30 minutes, and you're dead by then. I mean, if you're going to wait, you just wait at the door, don't come in, it's not going to work. So, and anywhere you go, the problem with all these mass shootings is there's not security and there's not cops there. If you go back to the Nashville shooter, they literally said in their memoir or whatever that they chose that target because there wasn't hard security. It was a soft target. They were going to another school, but it had security, so they did not go there. And maybe they still kill 1 person, still kill 2 people, but that's still less than 15. And the person that stopped the shooter is someone with a gun. So, do with that as you will.
Well, I like the idea. Y'all are all trying to just be responsible dads, husbands, fathers. Good work.
Exactly. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we don't have anybody else, do we?
Yeah, man.
Your wife's comment.
I don't remember what she was referring to. I don't know what she said. I zoned out.
She's probably blowing me kisses or something.
Yeah. So, we appreciate you coming on.
Oh, man, I've had a blast.
We just hope you come to Forge, and, we look forward to working with you more.
Yeah, man.
Maybe I'll come to the Forge.
Yeah, he said you don't know if he has to work. We'll talk about that after. But, yeah, y'all like, comment, subscribe, join the Patreon program for fitnesses. I haven't uploaded this week's yet. Slacking on that. But, yeah, we have, if you want to get into fitness, we have a program.
I also didn't post it until this morning.
Forge is in 3 weeks from today. It's January 3rd. There is actually a registration fee. So hope that doesn't throw a wrench in your plans. $40, and that covers food and other things, supplies. So we're not just trying to get rich. We'll probably lose money on it. We always do. So,
I mean, next time we'll charge like $1,200, I'm thinking, but this time it's 40's enough.
Yeah, exactly. He said it, hit it on the head. We're not getting rich yet. A couple more, and then it'll be 2,000. No, yeah, appreciate y'all for watching. Whatever else you're supposed to say right now. Did we do the... Uh-oh. Is that empty?
Kinda.
Well, we'll see you guys.
See ya.